نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد بسم الله. Surah Al-Mursalat. Surah Al-Mursalat, also Makki Surah, Surah number 77, 50 ayat and 2 rukut, means those sent. And the name comes from the beginning of the surah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by Al-Mursalat, hence the name is Al-Mursalat of this surah. What are the virtues of this surah? So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam recited Surah Al-Mursalat in the Maghrib prayer before he passed away. Narrated by al-Fadl, where she says, قالت سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقرأ في المغرب بالمرسلات عرفا ثم ما صلى لنا بعدها حتى قبضه الله. I heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم recite Surah Mursalat Urfan in the Maghrib prayer, and after that prayer he did not lead us in any prayer till he passed away. Then what is the connection of Surah Mursalat with the previous surah, Surah Al-Insan? So in Surah Insan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises mercy to believers and warns disbelievers of punishment. Towards the end, يُدْخِلُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ فِي رَحْمَتِهِ وَالظَّالِمِينَ أَعَدَّ لَهُمْ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا. Then in the beginning of Surah Mursalat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears to confirm such treatment of both believers and disbelievers. Also, you would notice Surah Insan primarily focused on the blessings of paradise for believers, whereas in Surah Mursalat, it has much more description of the punishment of hellfire for disbelievers. A high-level summary of the surah shows us that it is similar in its topics to other Makki surahs, where it talks about the fundamentals of true belief, and among them are resurrection, reckoning, reward, and punishment. And there is this verse that repeats 10 times, and it's a verse of warning for those who deny the truth. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. So let's begin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَالْمُرْسَلَاتِ عُرْفًا. By those winds sent one after another. So the word urfa means beneficial and useful. So these winds bring rain, which is obviously beneficial and useful. And another meaning of urfa is to come one after another. In this interpretation, the verse would mean those winds which bring rain and clouds consecutively. فَالْعَاصِفَاتِ عَصْفًا. And the winds that blow violently. So the word عَاصِفَات is derived from عَصْفٌ, meaning winds that blow violently. وَالنَّاشِرَاتِ نَشْرًا. And by the winds that spread clouds. So nashirat refers to winds that spread the clouds once rain is over. فَالْفَارِقَاتِ فَرْقًا. And those angels who bring criterion. Fariqat refers to angels that differentiate between right and wrong. So these angels bring down the divine revelation, which causes people to understand what is right and what is wrong. So hence they are angels. These angels are referred to as fariqat. فَالْمُلْقِيَاتِ ذِكْرًا. And those angels who deliver a message. So dhikr refers to Quran or revelation in general. So in the beginning of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes oath on various phenomena to emphasize that resurrection is certain. So there are 5 oaths taken in the first 5 ayahs. And then there are different interpretations on who is being referred to in these oaths. So there are 3 common interpretations given by scholars. One of them is all 5 oaths are about angels. Second opinion is that they are all about winds. And then some scholars say that these oaths are about prophets and messengers. Interpretation that Ibn Kathir provided seems to be more appropriate, where he says the first 3 ayats are more appropriate to refer to winds. And the 4th and the 5th ayah are for angels. So as we read, وَالْمُرْسَلَاتِ عُرْفًا, so the winds that are sent one after another, فَالْعَاصِفَاتِ عَصْفًا, that they're violent, وَالنَّاشِرَاتِ نَشْرًا, and that they are spreading the clouds. Those 3 ayahs are referring to winds. And then فَالْفَارِقَاتِ فَرْقًا, فَالْمُلْقِيَاتِ ذِكْرًا, those 2 ayahs are referring to angels. So angels that bring down revelation, that clarifies the right from wrong, and those that bring down the reminder, the revelation of the Quran. عُذْرًا أو النُّذْرًا. as excuses and warnings. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying the revelation could be treated or considered as an excuse or warning. How can that be? How can a revelation act as an excuse or warning? So for believers, the revelation makes them realize their shortcomings and persuades them to present their excuses to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about their weakness, about their mistakes, and ask for forgiveness. So that's how it acts as an excuse for believers. Whereas for disbelievers, the revelation acts as a warning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment. So when these ayats come down for disbelievers, they are bringing the news of punishment, as they are nudran, warnings. إِنَّمَا تُوعَدُونَ لَوَاقِعٌ. Indeed, what you are promised is to occur. So this verse is what called Jawab al-Qasam. So whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes oaths, it leads to a particular statement, something that is being emphasized. So if you look at the first 5 ayahs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking oaths on different things, and in the end, the message is, indeed, what your promise is to occur, meaning the day of judgment will certainly be established. In the following verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the different events of day of judgment. فَإِذَا النُّجُومُ طُمِسَتْ. So when the stars are obliterated, طُمِسَتْ means extinguished. So either the stars will be completely destroyed, obliterated, or their light will be extinguished. وَإِذَا السَّمَاءُ فُرِجَتْ. And when the heaven is opened. وَإِذَا الْجِبَالُ نُسِفَتْ. And when the mountains are blown away. وَإِذَا الرُّسُلُ أُقِّتَتْ. And when the messenger's time has come. So the word uqqitat derived from tawqit, which means appointment of a time. And other meanings that come are gathered, promised, or postponed. So this verse signifies that there will be an appointed time when prophets and messengers will gather with their nations, with their people. They will all gather to give witness upon their nations that they delivered Allah's message to them. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what they did, but He will show a proof to everyone of His actions on Day of Judgment. So at first, these previous nations will be asked whether your messengers delivered the message to you, but they will deny. They will say that there was no warner that came to them and no one gave them the message. Then the Ummah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam will be asked, and they will give witness that indeed the previous nations got the message. So these people from the past nations will say, well, how can you give witness upon us since you came after us? So how do you know what we received or did not receive? And at that point, we, the Ummah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, will reply that our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned to us that you had received the message of Allah by your messengers. They admonished you, they warned you, they told you about the Day of Judgment, but you denied. Therefore, we are able to give witness upon you based on what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us through the Quran and various hadith. لِأَيِّ يَوْمٍ أُجِّلَتْ. For what day was it postponed? لِيَوْمِ الْفَصْلِ. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الْفَصْلِ. For the Day of Judgment, and what can make you know what is the Day of Judgment? So what was postponed, or why was it postponed, or until what time was it postponed for all the prophets and nations to be gathered? It was postponed until the Day of Judgment. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. Woe that day to the deniers. So wail means destruction, and it also refers to a valley in hell, as it comes in a narration narrated by Abu Sa'id in Tirmidhi. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Al-wailu wadin fi Jahannam, yahwi fihi al-kafiru 40 kharifan qabla an yablugha qa'rahu." So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Al-wail is the valley of Jahannam, and the disbelievers shall drop into it for 40 years or 40 seasons before he reaches its bottom." So such is the punishment of wail. It's a very severe punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from being in that situation. So let's quickly review the first 15 ayats of the surah. So initially Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by 5 different things. And as we learned before, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can swear by any of his creation, but we can only swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his names and his attributes. We're not allowed to swear by anything else. Also, there are then different signs of judgment are provided, that the stars will be extinguished, that the heavens will be opened, and mountains will be blown away. There will be gathering of prophets on the day of judgment to witness upon their nations. And finally, there is stern warning about wail, which is destruction or a valley in hell for those who deny. Alam nuhlik al-awwalin, did we not destroy the former people? Thumma nutbi'uhum al-akhirin, then we will follow them with the later ones. كذلك نفعل بالمجرمين, thus do we deal with the criminals. ويل يومئذ للمكذبين, woe that day to the deniers. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to previous nations like Ad, Thamud, nations of Lut and Fir'aun, who rejected messengers and were destroyed because of their stubbornness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that when past nations did not believe in the message, He replaced the entire nation with others, usually through a severe punishment that wipes them out. Now we should understand that same could have been the fate of this ummah due to prevalence of sins and disobedience. However, it is a mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He sent us a very noble, caring Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a Nabi who is rahmatul lil alameen. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam made a special dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that his nation not be destroyed. Narrated by Amir bin Sa'ad in Muslim from his father that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, سألت ربي ثلاثا فأعطاني ثنتين ومنعني واحدة. سألت ربي ألا يهلك أمتي بالسنة فأعطانيها، وسألته ألا يهلك أمتي بالغرق فأعطانيها، وسألته ألا يجعل بأسهم بينهم ومنعنيها. I asked my Lord 3 things, and He granted me 2, but has withheld 1. I begged my Lord that my ummah should not be destroyed because of famine, and He granted me with this. And I begged my Lord that my ummah should not be destroyed by drowning, and He granted me with this. And I begged my Lord that there should be no bloodshed among the people of my ummah, but He did not grant it. So let's send durood to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallam. That before he passed away, before he left this world, he made sure that we do not get punished like other nations were punished and perished. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted his du'as. The next few ayah reminds us of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's favor, that He can also remind us that He can repeat our creation just like He created us the first time. أَلَمْ نَخْلُقكُّم مِّن مَّاءٍ مَّهِينٍ, did we not create you from a despised water? فَجَعَلْنَاهُ فِي قَرَارٍ مَّكِينٍ, and we placed it in a place of safety, that is the womb. إِلَى قَدَرٍ مَّعْلُومٍ, for a known extent, for a known period. فَقَدَرْنَا فَنِعْمَ الْقَادِرُونَ, and we determined it, and excellent are we to determine. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ, woe that day to the deniers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us that the semen in and of itself is worthless. It has no ability or mechanism to develop into a human being. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that takes this worthless fluid and through a very sophisticated yet managed process over 6 to 9 months of pregnancy creates a human being out of it. So such is the power Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to create us the first time, and thus He also has the ability to create us again. أَلَمْ نَجْعَلِ الْأَرْضَ كِفَاتًا أَحْيَاءً وَأَمْوَاتًا, have we not made the earth a container of the living and the dead? So the word kifata is derived from kaft, meaning to gather things together. And Ibn Abbas says kifat means a place of shelter. So kifat, you can consider this as a thing that embodies many things within itself. So it acts like a container. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning here that He created earth as a container such that humans can live on its back, and when they die, they are buried in the ground as well. وَجَعَلْنَا فِيهَا رَوَاسِيَ شَامِخَاتٍ وَأَسْقَيْنَاكُم مَّاءً فُرَاتًا. And we placed therein lofty, firmly set mountains, and have given you to drink sweet water. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. Woe that day to the deniers. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us of how He has settled the earth by putting mountains so it doesn't shake and allows us to walk on it firmly and comfortably. And of course, He has given us sweet water to drink that we can quench our thirst and enjoy. So let's review the ayahs from 16 to 28, where we see warning to disbelievers that previous nations were destroyed due to their rejection. So at that time of people of Makkah, and even now, if we do not follow the message, we will be punished. There is a reminder of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power to resurrect man, similar to how He created us the first time, and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala across this earth, that He made it a container for us, stabilized it with mountains, and filled it with sweet water. Alhamdulillah. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم